Hello and welcome to the Harbridge and Cross training program on workplace inspections, Chapter 9, version 1.0. Harbridge and Cross is committed to health and safety and believes in order to be effective, health and safety has to be cultural and expressed at all levels of the organization. This is our agenda. First, we're going to begin by discussing the roles and responsibilities of all workplace parties. Next, we're going to talk about the legislative requirements. From there, we'll move into the inspection types. At Harbridge and Cross, we have two types of inspections, an informal inspection and a formal inspection. From there, we'll talk about the inspection frequency of all workplace parties. Next, we'll talk about the formal inspection form, go through an exercise, and then talk about our record management system, which will house and archive all of our inspection forms. There will be core audit interview questions at the end of the presentation, so please hold all your questions until then. Roles and responsibilities. At Harbridge and Cross, there are no free lunches. Everyone has a job to do. Senior management is responsible for developing written procedures and training for workplace parties to show them how to complete a workplace inspection. Senior management is responsible for completing a monthly workplace inspection of all job sites. Provide the site superintendent copies of all workplace inspections that they complete, and ensure that all stakeholder inspections are being completed as required. Site superintendents have an important job to do too. They must perform every week a weekly workplace inspection and post a copy on their safety bulletin board that is current to 1 week. They are to implement corrective actions identified during the inspection process, complete hazard near miss reports to reflect deficiencies identified on the inspection, and ensure all subtrade foremen are performing monthly workplace inspections as required. Subtrade foremen have an important job to do. They are to perform a monthly workplace inspection of their work area and provide the site superintendent a copy of that inspection report. They are to implement corrective actions for all observed deficiencies and to report any workplace violations to the site superintendent. Your health and safety coordinator is there to support you. They are to perform a daily workplace inspection. Note, safety coordinators are traveling in nature, so they will perform an inspection whenever they visit your job site. They are to review all formal inspection reports and verify that corrective action is being taken as required. Verify the safety bulletin board is written and up to date with the site inspection. Perform an inspection training with both the site superintendent and workers, and to report any workplace violations to the site superintendent. Workers have an important job to do too. They are to participate in the inspection process, including performing an inspection on their tools, equipment, and harnesses. Inform the site superintendent or the Joint Health and Safety Committee of any workplace hazards, and of course to report to the site superintendent any defective equipment and to tag out as required. Legislative requirements. The Act requires all supervisors to perform workplace inspections. This includes Section 6. A health and safety representative shall inspect the physical condition of the workplace at least once a year, inspecting at least part of the workplace in each month. Section 14.3. A supervisor or competent person appointed by the supervisor shall inspect all machinery and equipment, including fire extinguisher equipment, magazines, electrical installations, communication systems, sanitations, and medical facilities, buildings and other structures, temporary supports, and means of access egress at the project to ensure that they do not endanger any workers. Section 14.4. An inspection shall be made at least once a week or more frequently as the supervisor determines is necessary in order to ensure that the machinery and equipment referenced in subsection 3 does not endanger any workers. And of course, Section 26. A designated member of the Joint Health and Safety Committee shall inspect the physical conditions of the workplace at least once a month. Inspection types. At Harbridge and Cross, we use two types of inspections. The first is the informal inspection. What are they? Informal inspections are unscheduled periodic inspections conducted throughout the work shift. Who is involved? Senior management, superintendent, health and safety coordinators, workers, anyone on the project is involved. How are they performed? All parties must be visually vigilant around their surroundings and examine work areas for changing activities. If you come across a hazard, you must report it. Corrective action. Any and all hazards or safety concerns observed during the informal inspection must be reported to the site superintendent and or corrected immediately using the hazard near miss report forms. Communication. All informal inspection concerns must be reported to the site superintendent or complete a hazard near miss report form. The second type of inspection is called a formal inspection. What are they? Formal inspections are documented scheduled events that are used to identify on-site hazards, communicate results to workplace parties, and implement corrective action. Who is involved? Let's refer to the inspection frequency chart on the next page to find out when we're required to do our inspections. Inspection frequency. Chapter 9 of our manual identifies the inspection frequency. As you can see here in this chart, everyone must do an inspection. Beginning with senior management, they are required to do an inspection once a month of all job sites. Superintendents are required to do an inspection once a week, and also if they're using any tools or specialized PPE or heavy equipment, they must also do subsequent inspections. Safety coordinators will do an inspection per site visit. Note, coordinators are traveling in nature and may not be on your site every day or every week. Also, they are required to do an inspection on their tools, specialized PPE, and equipment as required. Laborers, carpenters, and health and safety reps. They are required to do a daily inspection on their tools if they're using them, specialized PPE, and heavy equipment. The safety rep or joint health and safety committee must also complete a monthly site inspection of the physical work area. Note, external core auditors are looking for consistency when performing a workplace inspection, so please follow the guidelines outlined in the safety manual. The formal inspection forms. This is a copy of the new site inspection form that will be used by all Harbridge and Cross members. If you are using an older form, if you have any older inspections, please stop using them and get rid of them immediately. This is a new process moving forward. This is a 2-page inspection form to be used by all Harbridge and Cross members. Formal inspection. The first step in completing the inspection is identifying the titles, including the project name, the date, the site superintendent, and the number of workers present at the time of your inspection. Next, you must identify who is performing the inspection. Please circle or put a check mark or an X under the party name if you're senior management, superintendent, safety coordinator, or a health and safety rep. And of course, you must identify who you are by putting your name in the space provided. Note, all titles must be fully completed and all inspection reports must be addressed to the site superintendent. Step 2. Let's do an inspection. The inspection form is broken up into 3 parts. First is the safety board. You must review your safety board items, including your first aid, emergency response plan, safety documentations, and record management system. Identify if it is in compliance, yes, no, or non-applicable. Next is the site conditions. You want to review all items pertaining to the immediate work zone. And again, you want to identify the compliance section first, beginning with if it's in compliance, yes, no, or non-applicable. Next is the hazard rating system. If you do come across a hazard, or if the compliance section is marked down no, the next step is to determine the severity of the hazard using our 3-step hazard rating system. At Harbridge and Cross, we define risk as high, medium, and low. High or major risks may cause permanent disability, loss of life, or extensive loss of structure or equipment. They must be dealt with immediately. Medium hazards may cause injury resulting in temporary disability or property damage that is not extensive. And of course, lastly, low risk items may cause minor or non-disability injuries or illnesses or non-disruptive property damage. So you can take your time to close out those action items. The last part of the inspection is the equipment conditions. If there are any scaffolds, lifts, working at heights equipment, you want to do an inspection. And again, identifying first the compliance section, yes, no, or non-applicable. And if something is not in compliance, you want to then address the hazard rating assigned to it. Corrective action. At the end of your inspection, you'll come across some deficiencies or non-compliance items. Use the bottom section of the form to identify or summarize these items. Identify all non-compliance items and their hazard rating in the space provided. If more space is required on the form, please tab over to the next page. All corrective action items should be issued to a responsible party to close out. Then you want to verify that it's actually being closed out by completing the verification date. It's important to know all high major hazards must be closed out immediately. The verification date must be the same date as on the inspection form. All corrective action items must be closed out and indicated on the inspection form. It's important to note, include the verification date when the action item has been closed out. Do not include a date until the action item is closed. This is good practice. Let's go through an example. As you can see here on the inspection form, step 1, we want to review our safety bulletin board. If the board is in good condition, write it down. You might also want to have running comments that are the same over and over again, such as the safety board is current and up to date, as shown here in the space provided. You'll also notice here we've marked down yes under the compliance. There are no hazards to identify. The first aid kit has been inspected. Did anyone get hurt? If no, record it in the space provided. As you can see here, our first aid inspection kit was inspected in November. All items are current and no one reported a first aid injury. So we made a note here under comments. You can also take pictures. Step 2. Inspectors must talk to workers. This is a critical component to CORE. In order to complete your inspection, you must talk to at least one worker and ask them if they have any health and safety concerns on site. You want to identify the member's name and the company that they're with and their concerns. If there are no issues identified, write it down. If there is a problem with the washrooms, for example, indicate it on the form and show that you are closing it out. This is critical to achieving a successful CORE outcome. Running comments, site fences and gates in good condition, signs properly displayed. Again, CORE does not want us to have anything blank on our forms. Check marks are not good enough. We have to have physical comments. If a deficiency is identified, record it as such. For example, action item 1, missing electrical signs on temporary electrical panels, as you can see here. This is followed by non-compliant, and we assigned it a medium risk. Action item 2, washrooms need to be cleaned. Again, under hygiene, we identified as a non-compliant item and a hazard rating of 2, so we must close these out. As you can see at the end of the inspection form, we've summarized all of the deficiencies identified, beginning with action item 1, action item 2, and action item 3 as we report them on our inspection forms. Once you identify the deficiency, assign the risk rating system. Next, you want to assign the corrective action. How are you closing out these items? As in the case of action item number 1, we are missing electrical signs. What are we going to do? We're going to post signs on the electrical panel. This will be the responsibility of our subtrade OAC, and we want to verify that it's being complete. In this particular case, it was closed out immediately. Record all action items identified on the inspection form under corrective action item. You want to follow the same numbering sequence. You want to identify your deficiency, the risk rating, corrective action, the responsible party, and the verification date to show that those items are closed. Let's go through an exercise together. If you have a copy of the inspection form in front of you, pull it out. If not, let's take some time to grab one and let's get ready to go through an exercise. Use your inspection form to identify the non-compliance issues and apply the appropriate hazard rating system in both case 1 and case 2. Take your time. Okay, time's up. Let's see what you come up with. In the case of number 1, we are missing signs, control zones are not set up, there's a fall hazard here with this worker, missing safety vests for those who are working inside the trench, and of course the trench doesn't look properly sloped. In case number 2, we have major housekeeping issues. These cylinders here are not properly secured, and of course we are missing signage. So how are we going to record this? Corrective action. The sewer crews area is not properly sloped, there's a fall hazard with the worker, the risk rating system, the responsible party, and the verification date. Likewise, in case number 2, propane cylinders are not secured. This is a high-risk item. The welding company is responsible for closing it out, and of course, they closed it out that day. The record management system. Once it's all said and done and your inspections are finished, we have to file them properly. It's important that we can pull up our inspections whenever we need to, including during the time of a CORE audit. Consistency plays a big role in the continued success at Harbridge and Cross. Why? Because consistency is cheap and scalable. If everyone does whatever they want to do, it creates a lot of ambiguity, which is both complex and expensive. On every job site, the following health and safety management system must be put in place. This system is going to include a Dewey Decimal System, large size filing cabinets or banker boxes with hanging folders and subfolders, and instructions on how to use the system. When it comes to your workplace inspections, they're going to be filed in hanging folder 1.0 site inspections. In here, we're going to keep both senior management inspections, site superintendent inspections that are older than a week, your safety coordinator inspections, and if the client does inspections, we're also going to house them here as well. If there is a joint health and safety committee, they are going to file their inspections under file folder 16.0, Subfolder 16.03 Joint Health and Safety Monthly Inspections. Core Audit Questions. The core auditors will provide interview questions for both management and workers. Let's go through them together. Beginning with management, they will ask you in the following order. Are you performing workplace inspections? The answer is yes. I perform workplace inspections every day and complete a formal inspection once a week. Number 2, how are the results of inspections communicated to senior management? I email my inspections to the Health and Safety Department that reviews it with senior management. Question 3, how do you communicate the inspection results to workers? I post my inspections on the safety bulletin board where it is easily accessible to anyone on site. I also assign corrective action items to my workers to close out. Interview questions for workers. Question 1. Does the supervisor do a workplace inspection? How often? Yes, my supervisor does an inspection every week. Question 2. Are you or any other worker involved in the inspection process? Yes, every day I perform an inspection on my tools or equipment. My supervisor also asks me questions during his weekly inspection. Question 3. How do you find out about the inspection results? The site superintendent posts his inspections on the safety bulletin board, where I can review them at any time. If you have any questions about this program, please contact the Health and Safety Department training program at Harbridge and Cross.